In June of 2026, American producers caught a break. Producer prices fell by 0.3%, their largest monthly drop in a year. This metric tracks the foundational costs businesses pay to create goods and services. When it drops, it usually means cheaper consumer prices are right around the corner. Financial markets breathed a sigh of relief. Investors immediately scaled back anxieties, projecting the Federal Reserve holds interest rates steady at their July meeting. But if we look closely at the data, this sudden economic relief did not come from a healed supply chain or a stronger American workforce. The true cause of this price drop was an incredibly fragile geopolitical event, thousands of miles from the United States. To understand whether this domestic inflation victory will hold, we have to trace those tumbling prices back to their overseas source. This side-by-side chart illustrates the difference between overall headline producer inflation on the left and core inflation on the right. Core inflation removes volatile categories like food and energy to show the true baseline of the economy. Looking at that right column, core producer inflation actually crept upward in June. The foundational costs of doing business remain elevated. A broader drop in agricultural costs, specifically grains and vegetables, did help pull the overall headline number down a bit. But this chart reveals the real anchor. This steep line shows a massive 6.4% plunge in energy prices, specifically during the June window. The celebrated relief in the June report relies almost entirely on that sudden crash in fuel and energy, rather than any structural improvement in domestic markets. That massive drop in energy costs aligns perfectly with a single short-lived event, the temporary U.S.-Iran ceasefire in the Gulf. For a few weeks, the guns fell silent. That pause immediately eased anxieties about global oil exports safely moving through international shipping corridors. Stable energy markets meant lower fuel costs at the pump and at the port. That directly reduced the price tag to manufacture goods and truck them across America. That 0.3% drop in American producer prices is a direct mathematical echo of that brief diplomatic pause in the Middle East. Right now, the stability of the American domestic economy is tethered tightly to the volatile security of foreign supply chains. Urgent. That window is now closed. The ceasefire collapsed, and the United States has already resumed military strikes against Iranian coastal defenses. Iran quickly declared the conflict an existential struggle, threatening to retaliate by cutting off major energy routes. This satellite map illustrates the primary geographic choke points now under threat: the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the critical Strait of Hormuz. A serious disruption at these bottlenecks would drastically choke off Gulf energy exports and throttle traffic heading toward the Suez Canal. The very specific, peaceful geopolitical conditions that allowed prices to fall in June have already evaporated. For the moment, businesses are still enjoying the near-term margin relief provided by June's lower producer costs. But as the international conflict persists, the cost of fuel, transportation, and supply chain logistics will inevitably spike again. The immediate challenge for the American economy is attempting to preserve these temporary benefits while bracing for the reality that higher energy costs could easily erase June's gains. If those energy prices rebound aggressively, the Federal Reserve might be forced to bring interest rate hikes right back to the table by September. The math is clear. True domestic economic stability is out of reach until the security crisis in the Gulf is resolved.